Hey guys, welcome back to Flashcasts. Yeah, we are going to go ahead and take a look at where Flash is at right now. Obviously a new ladder season has begun. He actually hasn't been as active as he was a month or 2 months ago, right? When we kind of started this journey of seeing where he's at. So just throwing that out there as a disclaimer, he's not playing quite as much. So he's not at the very top of the ladder, but he's top like 25 or something right now on there. And it's not because of a lot of losses. He just hasn't been playing quite as many games lately. But anyways, I was kind of thinking to myself as I was casting a lot of other players and watching and casting a lot of ASL, hey, I wonder what Flash is up to. What is he doing on some of these new maps? So we're going to go ahead and dive into that, at least for the next several days. So hope you guys do enjoy. Here we're on the map Kickback, and in the top left, of course, we have Flash. His opponent down here, I don't know who this is. They've actually since deleted their account since losing to Flash. Obviously, you see the ID yellow. It is not yellow. It is not mad yellow because he's a Zerg player. I don't have any idea who this is or who this was, but the account has been deleted, so it's like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So here we are. Kickback. Kickback is definitely a very interesting, new, different looking map. We've talked about it quite a bit, and I will show you as they kind of scout out their own main bases a little bit more exactly what we're dealing with. One thing to mention, I have noticed, I should, I guess, discuss this sunken more often. So, like, for instance, here, I'll take a look at it here, right? So, here's Protoss. There's a base here and a base here, right? This is the choke. Now, the choke is exactly made so that you can make tight wall-offs here. The sunken here is neutral, but what it allows is if you're Zerg, your creep jumps to the sunken and it spreads creep up to here, right? So what that does is allows for Zerg to make a defense based on sunken colonies, so they don't have to place a hatchery up here to get their creep, or they don't have to make an additional creep colony to get the creep up there. Very, very important balance-wise. This is something that allows us a much wider variety of maps having things like this, because it's simply not fair to have Zerg spawn somewhere like this and not have static D that can go at the choke. So very well designed. The other thing to really mention is that these bases, every base except for the main bases, has 1,200 minerals per patch and 3,000 per gas, compared to the 1,500 and 5,000 that is normal on most maps. So it makes all the expansions mine out a lot faster. Now, as this probe gets up here for this Protoss player, and he gets a Zealot in here as well. Ooh, the SCV blocks it. What's up? Even Flash sometimes has that happen. All right, does look like he might save this. Ooh, very nice move back with that Marine. Did take some shots, though. So a lot of pressure going on by the Zealot. It is a factory expansion, so Flash isn't in real danger here. Even if you screw up and lose that first Marine, even like a lower ranked player will end up living through this. There is a second Zealot coming, and he still hasn't finished the factory. So this has actually been pretty good micro from the Protoss, but also the RNG of the SCV popping out and getting hit consistently is a bit unlucky there for Flash. Now, he is going to go ahead and try to utilize this area here. This Zealot is a little bit too low on health to do the flank maneuver, which he started to go for, and he actually rised that very quickly and backed up. Based on this Zealot control, I can definitely tell you that the Protoss is pretty good. Well, obviously, he's ranked so high he's playing against Flash, but, like, most people would have just dived in with that Zealot there. But actually comes back and meets up with the Dragoon, and he actually will be able to get a lot of damage here as well. Yeah, that was all pretty darn good from our Protoss player. Now, Flash is continually making Marines and probably will start a siege tank if I had to guess here. And in the meantime, Protoss does have their Nexus going up and Flash with the command center at the same time. Bunker coming up with those 4 Marines. Oh, wow. So yeah, he's not feeling super overly confident about 2 Dragoons possibly coming up, even though he does do the repair there, so very, very safe. There is a possibility here, yeah, with the 5th Marine making, you can tell that this is going to turn into a push by Flash. He's going to put on some counter pressure, and if your opponent makes 2 Zealots and loses them, a lot of times that counter pressure is very, very strong. There was barely any damage put on this Dragoon, so that was actually a very good runaway. Like, seriously, if this Dragoon dies, for instance, 100% you're going to counterattack. Big time. And look, okay, this all makes more sense now. He cancels the bunker as the attack doesn't really come. He had that ready just in case this was going to be, like, all out. But has canceled that. He's adding a second factory. He's going to siege tank. This is very, very normal stuff. A normal follow-up to someone who spends their zealots like that in the early game. We actually saw this in ASL, and I commentated on this, or the SSL now that it's called, pretty heavily. I believe it was JYJ that did this in his group, if you haven't seen that yet. But yeah, this is a very standard counter push, and a very strong one as well. He's going to be rallying out his vultures, and in fact, he lays some mines in the retreat path, which is exactly what you want to do, right? If you're going to put on that type of pressure early on, you have to prepare for something like this. You need to make sure you have a quick second gate. He does have 4 Dragoons right now, but this one's already pretty well damaged. A little bit of shields gone there, a little bit of damage there. So this is going to be very tough to hold. Flash coming in for this push. And that's actually excellent micro on the Dragoons. That was excellent, excellent, excellent micro. The fact that he's already whittled down the Marines that much is very well done. Vulture speed is still on the way. The tank's still going to come down and try to get some pressure off. You definitely want to try to target the hurt Dragoons. Okay, focus fires one down, gets rid of a second one there. Oh, he tried to run up and actually drag a mine, but it looks like that mine did get picked off. Oh, man, these 2 Marines actually just froze. If you give a targeted attack command to Marines or Dragoons, they will, at full range, then they'll actually freeze and get stuck, and you have to, like, press a special button to get them out. Anyways, yeah, moving forward right now with these siege tanks, and he's actually picking off a lot. This is a totally fine dive. It's, like, this is actually very good for Flash right now. And look at this. He is going to be able to pick off that as well. And now the Vulture's going to get so much damage. Oh my god, this game might just end. It is 3 Gate Dragoon right now. And luckily for our Protoss player, this isn't where his natural is, because that would have been real bad. Oh my god, he targeted the pylon, and that's going to cost him an additional probe there as well. These 2 Vultures going to try to run up. That is a very good hold position. In fact, a very good drill by those probes to get them to that ramp super fast. Flash maximizes damage, though, and is now up 9 workers after all of this. The Protoss player should be able to pretty much deflect everything else. Flash might get another kill or 2, but it's almost time for Flash to just stop this completely, because he's got to make units. Now that we're up to 5 Dragoons with 3 gates possibly producing, we can see actually he's miscued. There's 2 queued there and then none here, so he could have had 1 more making. But still, that's a lot of Dragoons on the way, and you can see not many units at home. Flash basically traded them all out for damage. But yeah, that was very well done. A pretty standard counterattack. You know, anytime your opponent makes zealots early on, loses them, maybe takes some damage on the goon, and you still have an okay standing army of Vulture plus Marines, it's really good to fall up into a 2 siege tank pressure. So very well done from Flash. He does a lot of damage. He's definitely ahead, and the follow-up is basically perfect as well. He's got missile turrets going up in multiple locations. Okay, just check it if there's one under there. Sometimes you hide them under floating buildings. Throwing one here, and he actually goes 3rd factory, which I really like the 3rd factory just because you're like a little bit low and you're kind of catching up to the production over here. And also the 3rd command center. So Flash is going to get himself up into this position where he can go into 8 factories really quickly. That's my guess for what we're going to see. When you get this type of damage off onto a Protoss player, generally you're going to want to line up for the potential of a timing attack, right? Because if you think about Protoss's options from here, it's like, okay, well, you could try to be greedy, right? You could try some really crazy tech, but, you know, like, I don't think going into carrier or something, you're just going to get insta-punished by a big 8 factory timing. Or you could just, like, macro out normally and try to just play a normal game and catch up over time, which is okay. And the thing is, it could definitely be any of those. You could even go pure aggression, right? Just make a ton of units and be like, all right, I'm going to counterattack. I know he doesn't have that many units. He sacrificed a lot. And whatever, like, all those options I just mentioned, Terran just gearing up into like a many factory push is going to be very strong against all those, right? If they're trying to attack you, you have enough units. If they're... Oh, wow. He's focusing so hard on taking down the turret so his shuttle can go up, which already took a ton of damage. But yeah, no matter what choice you make there, it's going to be pretty solid for Terran to just make a ton of factories here. So anyways, does drop this Reaver out and is trying to get a little bit of damage. Flash trying to get a turret done. If he gets that done, the shuttle will die. Yeah, it's going to... just barely, man. 99% turret right there. But yeah, that's what he was looking to do. And it looks like the Reaver gets picked off. This is actually surprisingly well done from our Protoss player. I didn't think he was going to get anywhere. I thought everything was just going to die as soon as he went up here. Now, he hasn't killed workers, but, like, he's been annoying, right? Like, he's killed off some siege tanks. He's stopping the air. I think it's time to just pull away now. But, yeah, that was some good control. Like, he's definitely doing a pretty good job. Now, looking over at Flash's side, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's going up to 7, and there it is, the 8th factory. And who knows, maybe it's Flash and his SCVs are so good he can get a 9th factory or something like that. 8 is generally where you want to go in a situation like this, but we'll see. Like, 8 will actually allow you to still kind of transition into upgrades and stuff. It's just like, I don't know, it's a little bit cleaner. But you could go, like, all in. You could even add 2 factories here if you want to cut SCV production. Anyways, he is going up to that 8 factory play I was mentioning before. Looking down at Protoss's base, he's caught up in workers, and you can see he's like flying around with this shuttle, and it's got 2 Dragoons in it. He definitely does not want to lose this shuttle, but he's going to. The Goliath coming up is going to force this, right? There might be a little window he can get out right there, but it's too late now with the Goliath right below him. You can see Flash just kind of mirroring this to kill it. So that's a little bit sad. That's like 6 supply that's just going to disappear. That isn't going to do anything for him, really. Yeah. Even you might be like, oh, why didn't you drop the Dragoons out? Honestly, the Dragoons literally wouldn't have killed 1 unit anyways. It's not that big a deal. But looking at the game, right, like there was a lot of pressure put on from Protoss. He was looking to maybe get some damage. I think he was hoping to get a few Scarabs off on the SCVs, that type of thing. But his gates have been added very quick. He only had the 3 gates for a long time, and he's gone up to 6. He's got the Reaver tech, right? He's getting into the Templar archives here. Probably get into some Psystorm and stuff, but it all seems a little bit too late. So, yeah, Flash coming up and just kind of attack moving through this. It was just so many units lost, right? So it's like in this particular game, our Protoss player chose like the more aggressive option after taking the damage, and Flash kind of absorbed it. He had the perfect type of follow-up, hits his 8 factories, and Flash kind of makes it into a math problem. Normally when I'm talking about making it into like a mathematically like pretty solved position, it's almost always I'm talking from the Protoss side. But it absolutely can happen from the Terran side if you get a punish that big on Protoss. So yeah, I think a really well done follow-up to the 2 Zealot pressure. You do have to be careful about losing all those units early game as Protoss. It really comes down to... And actually, I want to jump back and show this, because I did talk about this if you saw the SSL or ASL cast. ASL, you know, now known as SSL. I don't know what to call it for people until they get used to this, right? So here, I want to show this real quick, right? Because this is a really important aspect, right? So he comes out and fights. He kills both the Zealots, and he gets some damage on that. Now watch. He pulls back... and he starts the bunker. So starting the bunker does slow a 2nd factory. You can just add a 2nd factory here. But if your opponent pressures with the Dragoons, you need the bunker. Okay? So, like, first off, this is an important thing. And I actually talked about this in the SSL cast for anyone who saw that. Where you can actually, like, for instance, there was a game where the Vulture got lost. And I was like, okay, what you can do is you can bring Dragoons out and check and just kind of like skill check, right? Like check or safety check. Like, do they have a bunker? That type of thing, right? Because you have range coming. So if you look here, okay, he runs this away, which isn't in and of itself a terrible choice. Okay, and let's take a look, right? Range on the way, Nexus on the way, and he's got a couple Dragoons. Now, the one thing he knew for certain when the Dragoon was here was that the Vulture was not on the map, right? So laying mines behind is not going to happen right now. And watch this. See how he stops this bunker? And he's waiting to see, is my opponent checking on me? Right? And the thing is, if he had sent this, okay, this Dragoon was sitting here when this was up here. So the 2nd Dragoon could have been sent and would be about right here right now if it was sent up. The Vulture's going to pop out. Watch this. Right? Vulture comes out. There's nothing here. And Flash is like, okay. Well, if he was going to check on me, it would be by now. And the tank is popping out, and another Marine's popping out. So at this point, even if 2 Dragoons appear here now, and the thing is, he does have the 3rd Dragoon, but the 3rd Dragoon just came out, so the 3rd Dragoon wouldn't be there yet. But if he was coming up, Flash has enough here to stop. Now, if he had come up with those first 2, I think he finishes the bunker, and that's 75 minerals now that Flash does not have right here. Okay, I want to throw this all out there as kind of an example. And now the Vulture has already been out. He's going to be able to lay the mines behind the army. The Dragoons are coming up now, but this is quite a bit later, right? Now it's just 2 Dragoons. The bunker's already been canceled. He already has enough to stop 2 Dragoons. And you might be like, well, why doesn't he send 3 Dragoons? It's because the Vulture could be out on the map. He had intel that the Vulture was on the map when the Dragoon was up here. He no longer has that intel. He's leaving a Dragoon back to help out against the possibility of that coming in. Yeah, and you can see the Gateway and Robo pretty much lined up here, which I like to see, because he's got to get that unit production going immediately in case something like this is happening. So anyways, this is the most standard and fundamental positions that we see. Very oftentimes, things like this are so incredibly important. I think sometimes people look at it like, oh wow, a new build, hot off the tracks. Like, oh my gosh, like let's copy this build, let's figure this build out. What's it do? What's this? You know, that type of thing. But if you look at it, it's like, okay, well, this was a 2 Zealot pressure where he lost the 2 Zealots, Flash didn't lose too much, and he follows up with the 2 Fact. This is such a common position that I think looking into the little nuances of positions like these are the most important thing you can do, like if you're an improving player or something like that. And in fact, even at high pro level, you can see that Flash understands the position perfectly by the way that his bunker went to 99%. He kind of checks out in the front. The tank pops out. He cancels the bunker. He knows the timings of everything. He knows he's fine. Our Protoss player, I think there was misplay here. The Dragoon that left this area, right? He could have instantly brought up the second one and probably forced the bunker to finish. And then this doesn't start quite as fast, right? And then the push is a little bit slower. And then he walks back and he doesn't get the mines behind him. And instead, this is later and the mines are going to be behind him and shit starts to fall apart. But yeah, these more fundamental positions are the most important ones, I think, to look at. And this game really, I think, shines a huge light on it when you look at how someone with perfect understanding of what's going on, and Flash has the most perfect understanding that exists within StarCraft, against someone who's a very strong player, clearly, but obviously not a championship level player. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm really happy to be checking out some more Flash games. Hope you are as well, and we will see you next time.